Luke Belmar has made over $16 million dropshipping, so it's clear he has a lot of things to say and his opinion does matter. And some of what he says is actionable advice.
My biggest niche was home products because I understood that I needed a few things in order to succeed in dropshipping. One is I needed an evergreen market. I needed to sell a product that wasn't a one-off. I needed repeat customers with long and high lifetime value. I needed my customers to be worth more than $14.
Whereas some of what he says is also pretty controversial.
I'm getting the Neuralink implant. I'm the first in line, bro. And I'm connecting my social security number to my Twitter account so I can feed the AI.
And some of it's also pretty dated. So the question is, what are the tips that you can actually use right now and what is actually currently still working? And coming from someone who is actively doing dropshipping right now, let's debunk some of the things he says and let's review some of the other stuff he says, and I'm just going to be reacting to it and giving my opinion on it.
2023 is going to be an interesting year. For the last 4 years, I've been hearing, Luke, dropshipping is dead. Dropshipping is dead. Dropshipping is going to die. Dropshipping is hard. Everything's saturated. Ads are expensive. But what I've come to realize is that dropshipping hasn't died. It has merely evolved. Just like any other business in the world, whether you talk about sales, real estate, commerce, trading, any sort of business, it always goes through periods of evolution. Now, unless you are able to evolve, you will be crushed by your competitors. E-commerce, dropshipping, is very much alive and well. Now the strategies, the tactics whereby you make it a success is a lot different. The paradigm is shifted. The landscape is completely different. But for us to just throw a blanket statement of dropshipping is dead, no. Maybe your ability to market is dead.
Yeah, dropshipping is definitely not dead. But year to year, the strategies used and the most effective way to actually do it is always constantly shifting and changing. For an example, Facebook was what everyone used, but right now people have shifted over to TikTok, whereas I still use Facebook and find it really consistent and really great. And then there's people using Pinterest, Snapchat, and now the huge big thing is TikTok organic for people who don't really have much of a budget to get into it, right? So the landscape is always shifting. It's like completely different paradigms all the time. E-commerce culture is always constantly changing. Dropshipping as a way of commerce is probably always going to be there. It's just going to use a different vehicle, or the way to do it and the strategies are always going to shift. So I do agree with that.
Maybe your skill set is dead. What you might have to reinvent is that. Now, I understand TikTok is alive and well because we just did $1.7 million on a UGC store off of TikTok. So I understand it's very much alive. But people try to use the same tactics that worked in 2016 and think that the business model is broken because their tactics are broken. Now, tactics come and go. That's why I never teach tactics. I always teach fundamentals. I always teach principles that apply in business in the long-term scope, right? Because you don't want outdated information within 48 hours. But if you want to be successful in dropshipping in 2023, it's going to require innovation. It's going to require intellect. It's going to require sitting down and figuring out that social media platforms are no longer going to deal with the bullshit of scamming customers with shitty products. They're no longer going to deal with bad user experience. They do not want to compromise that anymore because they understand that they need to keep their users happy long term. But if you dropship with a quality product, if you have good customer service, if you understand how to read data of customers, if you understand current trends, for example, I have one of my students that during the World Cup, he launched a relevant product that was familiar with the World Cup. And he was doing, I think 19 or 20. I think his best day was $300,000 in one day, running, I think about $80,000 in Facebook ads. Obviously, it was trending because of the World Cup. Will it die down later? Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? But the point is, dropshipping is very much alive and well. You just need to understand how to capitalize it. So when people say, Luke, is dropshipping dead? No, your business skill need improvement. They need refinement. They need pruning because the same shit that used to work yesterday ain't gonna work today. Why? Because people catch on. You need to be able to put yourself in a situation where you're finding these glitches in the matrix, where you're finding these anomalies in the system. Any man-made system has flaws. Any man-made system has the ability to be monetized and utilized and exploited. And that's exactly what happens on these advertising platforms.
Yeah, and he's completely right. You need to know marketing to actually sell stuff, right? If you actually want to sell something to someone, you need to be able to convince them that either A, they need it, or just find someone who already needs that. You need to understand marketing as a whole, because you can kind of make these quick cash grabs and make money really quickly, especially on TikTok ads. But if you don't know what you're doing, you're leaving a lot of profit on the table and you're just going to get left behind, especially if you're using dated methods. A lot of people on YouTube are just teaching things which worked years ago from people who just don't have any results anymore, and they're just rehashing these same methods, and they either don't work or people are doing it who don't have a fundamental understanding of marketing. Now obviously there's some great marketing books out there like .com Secrets, and obviously $100 million Offers is probably the best one, and then $100 million Leads is also pretty good too, and it kind of does apply to e-commerce, but the best book I'd say is $100 million Offers to learn core marketing skills. And then you could also read .com Secrets too. So those are two really great books I recommend reading. And then also it's great to learn some skills, for an example like copywriting too, so you can write good effective copy. I mean, AI is always going to do a better job, but if you program an AI model, or let's say a GPT or something, or ChatGPT, to actually write better copy for you based on real experts' fundamentals, that always does a lot better too. That's what I personally do. So books like Breakthrough Advertising are really great for that too, so you learn the actual core skills. You can use something like AI as a companion and you could definitely make money with it, but if you understand it, then you can guide the AI to actually assist you in doing it. And if you also know the business skills, you can basically practice those things rather than just try and rehash someone else's methods. So here's right here, you've got to kind of understand it rather than just walk blindly, right?
I remember back in the day when I used to have Facebook Rep, when we used to spend over $1 million a month, they would come and sit down with us and tell us all the hottest tactics, all the hottest trends, all the best ways to advertise, all the best ways to reduce our CPMs, to reduce our costs. But those things, once again, become irrelevant within a few months. So what do you have to do? You have to understand that dropshipping is not only being able to advertise to a consumer in the front end, but it also has back end, right? How's your SMS flow? How's your email flow? How is your ladder of lifetime value customer products? Most people don't have their lifetime value of their customer. So when I start to realize the people that are talking about dropshipping being dead, it's very much amateurs. Business noobs, people that don't understand commerce, D2C, direct to consumer relationships. And if you want to succeed in dropshipping in 2023, it's very much possible. Now, where do I see dropshipping being extremely successful? You need to start navigating platforms that are not common.
Yeah, and also implementing some of these other strategies are also really effective. So you're talking about like SMS flows, which are basically like, for an example, doing SMS marketing. One great app for doing this in particular is Klaviyo. That's the best one for email marketing. Although Shopify email is also a really good app. I found that actually I got a lot of extra revenue when I was using Klaviyo, especially when I had like 15 to 16, 17,000 email subscribers. I could push out some offers and just make a whole bunch of money that day, especially if my ads were down. So that's a really good channel to actually get into. People are thinking about Facebook ads, Pinterest ads, what other platforms to go on, but they're not even doing email marketing. So that's a good tip that he's talking about. And also SMS marketing, something I've not really got into a huge bunch, but this can also make you money too.
You need to start playing with Pinterest. You need to start playing with Bing ads, start playing with some SEO, start playing with some TikTok user-generated content, get some influencers, build some pages, and start playing around. This idea of relying on Mark Zuckerberg for your business in 2023 ain't gonna cut it, boys. It's no longer the name of the game. So I wanted to come on here, share with you guys, because I'm in Dubai, I'm reminiscing, talking with my boys that are doing dropshipping out here. They're fucking crushing. But then I see my community back home complaining. So I wonder, are they right or are they wrong? And as I sit with my boys here doing $1 million days, I'm like, damn, dropshipping is very much alive and well. You just need to understand how to find a few things. One is evergreen products. Products that will outlast trends. You need to be able to outlast trends. It's extremely important. The second one is you need to have a big enough audience, right? Most people target products that are extremely niche. Therefore, they run through the audience or the country really, really fast. You need to be able to have a global landscape whereby if you're trying to scale a product, you don't run out of customers. This is extremely important. And finally, you need good supply chain management. As February rolls around, we know this Chinese New Year, as China supply chains start to crunching up, we need to understand that you need to be able to move product in and out, right? It needs to land in the customer's door, not for 30 days, not 45 days later. You're gonna get flagged, but within 3 to 5 days, within 7 to 9 days, that product should be in somebody's house. So if you don't have the logistics, if you don't have the customer service, those are the things that you need to learn, that you need to master prior, right?
So he talks about a few things here. Now, even though he might not be likely still actively doing dropshipping, he is obviously referring to his network, which I think is Capital Club. So he has access to those people who are part of his membership group that are already actively doing ecom. So he kind of has a few different connections and people that he knows and friends who are doing it, so they can tell him what's working right now. So he does have access to quite a few high players, right? So it's obviously trustable what he's saying. Another thing he's saying is basically people aren't on top of things like logistics, supply chain management, and all of the business practices they should be focusing on. So for an example, he talks about Chinese New Year. This bit me in the butt basically because when I was starting scaling the main winning product from this year that I made a lot of revenue with, I didn't actually have a lot of savings at that point, so I couldn't actually afford to buy stock for the supplier to keep and then to keep selling. And since with those products I think I had basically become the top person selling it on TikTok, I basically had to stop selling for nearly the whole month. I think it was February or March, like the end of February and like most of March I had to completely stop selling, so I wasn't really making any money during Chinese New Year. So then I had to go away and focus on YouTube and stuff. But if I would have had savings to be able to do that, to store stock and keep on selling, then I would have been able to obviously keep scaling during that time. And then there was people who had money in savings who basically copied my store and they were selling throughout Chinese New Year. Some of them probably just had long shipping times and they didn't actually buy stock, but that's a bad business practice. You definitely shouldn't do that, because if you're obviously waiting more than a month to ship products, you're definitely going to get loads of refunds and returns. So definitely stay on top of all those things. If you don't know the cores of business and actually managing your business and the logistics, you're obviously going to get bit in the back. I don't know if he said this at this point or if he's going to say it soon, because I've actually watched this video before, but he does talk about some of the people he knows in Asia, like the biggest people in e-commerce who are making like $100 million years. They treat that as a real industry and a real business. They're not just thinking, oh, drop shipping. They're thinking of a real e-commerce business. You need to actually think of it as a real business. If you remove the whole drop shipping from it, it's not like a drop shipping kids game like it's shown as on YouTube. It's like a real e-commerce business, right? If you treat it that way, then you're definitely going to have a lot more success with it. So there's a lot of tidbits of good advice here that he's talking about.
To being like dropshipping is dead. It is not that it is alive and well. It is reformatted, right? The business model has changed. It's adapted just like any other business model in the world. In 50 years, dropshipping will still be around, but the format whereby it's reflected or manifested will be different. So take this, analyze it, and if you're doing e-commerce or dropshipping in 2023, don't be disheartened. You just might have to sit down, re-strategize, replan, and execute with intelligence. Don't implement what this guy's saying. Don't implement what that guy's saying. Dwell with it. Let it marinate and ask yourself, why does this tactic work? Why is this person doing this and it's operating successfully? Not just, I'm running 10 ad sets and it's not working, or, you know, I tested 4 products that I found randomly on AliExpress, it didn't stick. That's not business, that's gambling, right? You're throwing your Facebook dollars all over the place and expecting Mark Zuckerberg to sell on your behalf. It's 2023, consumers are way too educated. Consumers are way too educated, ladies and gentlemen. There is no place for bullshit business anymore. So if you want to make money in 2023 in dropshipping, you need to understand that the paradigm has shifted. Rules are different. The game is different. And if you want to capitalize and you want to be successful, you need to be able to play by a different set of rules. Start being responsible. Start becoming a business owner. Start becoming a boss, and understand that dropshipping ain't about hustling anymore. It's about moving like a boss.
This is also the thing about YouTube. People always do these clickbait videos at the start of every single year. You'll see on the lead up to January, like after December, you'll see all those Dropshipping Dead videos. I'm not going to jinx myself because maybe I'll make one of those in the future, who knows. But there's so many clickbait videos where people are basically just saying either dropshipping is dead, or they're just clickbaiting the title. Then they're saying, no, actually dropshipping is not dead. For some reason, everyone seems to think it's dead, or when there just starts a new year, it's just completely just in the bin. But it's just not true, right?
It's about executing like a boss. And it's about treating your dropshipping business like a real business. Because guess what? It is. And it's going to continue working, whether you're good at it or not.
And the last thing he said at the end, where you're supposed to treat it like a real business, that's what I have been saying throughout this video before he even said it, right? It needs to be treated as a real business. Just because it might be some kind of like passive income method or some side hustle, as people call it on YouTube, it is a real business. It's not just a side hustle. You need to treat it as a main gig, right? So that's how to make some serious money. He did actually speak some facts. I think when he talks about evergreen products too, which I kind of missed whilst I was watching it, this is kind of obvious advice. A lot of his advice does seem to kind of be obvious and dated, but there is a lot of golden dime pieces in there, which I think he is spitting some facts. Now, evergreen products is great. For an example, if you're selling things like fast fashion where the trends are always changing, you're going to always need to stay on top of the market, keep changing products. But if you're selling something like homeware or household goods and kitchen items, then those can also be great too. And he does talk about in a few other videos that he sold household goods, and that's how he made most of his money. So great advice in this video. I think there's some real good gems in here. So quick plug, guys, click the link below in the description. That will take you to our brand new school community called Equity Hub. This is basically our new e-commerce community, which is going to help people go from beginner to intermediate all the way to advanced. I'm going to be sharing all my private ad strategies, what's working for me right now on Facebook and what worked for me on TikTok ads this year, and how we've made revenue figures like this on screen right now. And this is going to be a great supportive community to network with like-minded people and also learn from me, who's actively doing good numbers, unlike some of these fake gurus on YouTube. We're going to be putting a whole bunch of courses in there, everything from getting started, advanced things like building out a team and getting customer support reps, how to actually find a supplier, a ton of really cool stuff which you're not actually finding in most of these other courses and communities. So make sure to click the link down below if that interests you. Right now, we already have a case study in there which actually shows me starting from step 0 and actually creating a brand new store and running it up in just 3 or 4 days. And I show you finding the product, testing the product on Facebook, and then actually getting sales with it and getting a profitable ROAS. So if you want to check that out, that's the complete uncensored version that is on the community already right now. So when you sign up, you'll get access to that case study and maybe you can test the product and make some profit yourself. Back to the video. Let me know what you think about it in the comments section down below. What do you think of Luke Belmar? Does he give good advice on dropshipping, or are the things he's saying just simply not true? Personally, I agree with a lot of them and I'm speaking from experience, but I want to know what you guys actually think of Luke, what you think of his advice, or any of you guys in Capital Club. Would love to hear about it. I might join there in the future because I think it's a great community and there's actually some really good content in there. So I might join there in the future and make a video about it, but let me know what you guys think. Make sure to subscribe for the best dropshipping and e-commerce videos on this channel, and I'll see you real soon.